bung knees and you can't do it, that's okay, but obviously if you're going to demonstrate stuff with your athlete, it's good to be able to do this sort of stuff as well. So what I want you to do is just set up in what would be your basic catching stance. So no runners on base, start of the game, give me a nice big target. If you've got a glove on, get your glove up. All right, so what I want to see is that you're nice and low, right, you're in a good position. And as I come around the group, as you can see, if I just give you a little nudge one way or the other and you fall over or you wobble and that sort of stuff, it just means that you're not very stable. Right? So it doesn't take a whole lot as I come along.
There you go.
Alright, that's good. Just relax. Okay, so it's important as a catcher, you need to make sure that you can, number one, give a target at the bottom of the strike zone. We want our pitchers to throw the ball at the bottom of the strike zone, so they've got to be able to give an appropriate target at the bottom of the strike zone. That's the position we start with, and then we work from there. But you also need to be stable. If you're wobbling around and all that stuff, trying to prevent yourself from falling over while the pitch is on the way down, it's going to be really hard to concentrate on the ball and actually try and catch. You can relax for a bit.
So the secret is to have flat feet.
Pardon?
The secret is to have flat feet.
Yeah, well, that's
As
certainly.
yeah.
I was up on my toes before.
Well, we can talk about that. So what I'm going to go through now is what I think are the basic criteria, and within that there's loads of variation. It depends on your body, because obviously everyone's ability to actually squat down deep really varies from one individual to the next.
Yep.
So it depends on your body. So the things that I say are most important. Number one, you need to be able to get down to the bottom of the strike zone. So how you do that is up to you. You've got to be able to give a target at the bottom of the strike zone. Number two, make sure you're stable. So that you're in basically quite a stable position, so that when the pitch is on the way down, you're not sort of off balance or wobbling and all that sort of stuff, and that you're not working very hard to stay in that position. All right, so if you're a little bit off balance, there was a couple, I think it was, might have been one, I think Andrew maybe was another, you stayed up when I gave you a little nudge, but it felt like you were really working to prevent me from tipping you over. So if you're doing that, you're chewing up a lot of energy.
Yep.
And squatting up and down is going to wear you out anyway.
Yep.
So you want to conserve as much energy as you can. So you've got to be stable so you're efficient, but also that you can track the ball. So low to the ground, you need to be comfortable because you're going to spend a lot of time in this position. This is our primary receiving stance. So this is where we start the game, and hopefully if your pitches are any good, this is where you spend more of your time. Right? So you need to be comfortable. So again, if you're uncomfortable in that position, you're going to get sore very quick, you're going to burn up a lot of energy. And then the fourth one is that you need to be able to catch every ball cleanly. So anything in and around this area. So there's no runners on at this stage, so if they throw a wild pitch over your head, it doesn't really matter. And there's less than 2 strikes on the hitter. So you don't necessarily need to be able to block a ball in the dirt or get up and throw a runner out, but you do need to be low to the ground so you can give a good target at the bottom of the strike zone. You need to be stable and balanced. You need to be comfortable, and you need to be able to catch every ball cleanly. So when I say you need to be able to catch every ball cleanly, one of the things that you will be conscious of is this elbow inside the knee and clearing that knee. So some guys where they set up, if they're set up like this, for instance, they may struggle coming in this way a little bit. Some people struggle with the one that's away, that sort of stuff, but your stance may dictate how you move. So what you then need to do is work out some ways that you can make some adjustments to address some of those common issues. One of the common issues in terms of the stability of stance, as we mentioned, if you're up on the balls of your feet, I actually used to catch like this, so I'd give my signal stance like this, and all I would do is just shift my weight forward, get down a bit lower, and I'd be here like this. But again, I'd been doing it for a while at that stage. Young kids, if their feet are really narrow, are going to be less stable. If they can do it and they don't have any problem maintaining their balance, then I'm okay with it. But if they do struggle with their balance and stuff, you might want, exactly as you said, just spread their feet a little bit wider apart to try and get their full foot on the ground. That'll give them a better connection to the ground, and they'll be more stable and balanced. Obviously, the wider you go with your feet, the more you're going to turn your toes out to the side. And again, so you might set up like this. You know, you're watching the big leagues, there's loads of variation in the types of setups and stuff that they have, but it's just because of the type of body that they have, and they find a position that meets basically those 4 criteria. Low, comfortable, stable and balanced, and it gives you clearance of that elbow and the knee to be able to catch every ball clean. Make sense? All right, so outside of that, like I said, loads of variation. What would be a situation where we would potentially need to adjust that stance? Sorry, what's that?
Runners on?
Yeah, perfect. What do we need to do about that? Why? How would we change?
I'll get up more.
Yeah, so you've got to get your bum up. What else?
Well, you can cheat, like maybe cheat a bit and have that.
Yep,
like
for a
back
throwing
leg.
situation.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
potentially a man on first base, you would have your right foot just back slightly of your left foot. Yep, so that you're just ever so slightly rotated a bit more comfortable for the throwing situation. What else?
More ready to want to stop the ball and get a high ball.
Yep. So you need to be in a better position to be able to move and stop everything, because now with a runner on base, a ball gets past you as a catcher, the ball's live, a runner can potentially advance. All right, so you need to be able to, whereas this position here with nobody on, if the ball goes over my head, goes to the backstop, doesn't mean anything, nothing happens, there's no consequences. But once we get a runner on base, or we get 2 strikes on the hitter, why when we get 2 strikes on the hitter is an issue?
Follow the ball,
Yeah,
give it in
not
front.
strike. So if they swing at it, even if it's over your head, or they swing at a ball in the dirt and it gets past the catcher, a runner still potentially has an opportunity to advance a base. All right, so these are the 2 situations we need to adjust. So yes, most definitely you need to sit your bum up a little bit higher. Notice how now I do have my full foot on the ground, right? Toes again are pointed out a little bit. My feet are wider than they were before. Again, the wider your base, the more stable you're going to be. All right. Yeah, my butt's up a little bit higher. Again, there's lots of variation in the sort of stances that people will use here, but again, it depends on the individual, but you do need to be a little bit wider, a little bit higher. And what do you do with your throwing hand? I didn't mention it before, did I? So your primary receiving stance, I generally would just grab the back of my right heel in the name of keeping it out of the way, right? Some people will say just put it behind your back. I actually find that creates a bit of a tense position in your shoulder, so if it's a bit more relaxed, if it's just down here, then if a ball does hit you, it's nice and relaxed, it doesn't hurt as much. Right, so I'm here, so I'm protected. But then in a secondary receiving stance, it's got to be in the front somewhere. So it could be inside your right thigh, it could be in here in the middle of your body, or it could be right in here behind your glove. I tend to find if you have it right here behind your glove, you don't tend to keep the hand there anyway. Like when you go to catch the ball, it tends to drift and it's exposed either way because you can't necessarily follow it all the way over here. So I actually just tend to leave it right in the centre of my body. Loosely clenched fist with your thumb inside, right? So if you get a foul tip, it is going to hurt, it's probably going to bruise, but if it's a loosely clenched fist with your thumb inside, hopefully you're not going to break anything. All right? If it's resting on your shin guard, which is a hard surface, and you hit the ball, what happens? You get squashed, right? Or even if it's resting right up against your body, it can get squashed. Or if you've got your hand open like this and it hits the end of your finger, you can sprain a knuckle or those sort of things. So loosely clenched fist with your thumb inside, somewhere here in front of your body. I used to put it just here sort of in front of my chest so that when I would catch and throw, all I would do would funnel it back to the centre of my body to make the exchange, and I'm in a good position ready to throw. All right, so need a couple of balls here, Watto. This is what I had them for before. What I want to see now is I'm just going to get a couple of people an opportunity to try this. So Brandon, if you want to come around from this side to just get some footage of this. So just a couple of people to practice. One will play again, just 3 balls there. So I'll get one catcher here, one catcher here, another catcher over here. So what I want to see is just an increased ability to move quickly. So I'll get 3 catchers, 3 people who are prepared to demonstrate for us. It helps to do this if you've got a couple of people, even if you don't have gear on it for this one, it's okay. All I want to do is just see that you can get up and move quickly
just go nice
in
and
any
close,
different
mate.
direction.
Half
You know,
close?
as far as you can.
Yeah, all you're doing is just going
So
to
we
get
need
the
to be in a
activity.
more
Oh, these
athletic
guys?
position.
Yeah, so even if
So
you
you
just
three,
get
just go and show me your primary receiving stance. Good, so give me a nice big target, nice and stable and balanced, nice and low. All right, so think about a hitter. If the hitter was to stand in here, your glove needs to be at the bottom of the strike zone. All right, so not too bad. All right,
Mostly get
now,
line.
what I want you to do now is relax a little bit, and then I want you to set up again, this time in your secondary receiving stance. So show me the adjustments that you would make. All right, good. All right, now relax. What I'm going to do after that, I'm going to get you to set up in your secondary receiving stance. When I go this way, you're going to jump up and catch a wild pitch this way. When I go this way, you're going to jump up and catch a wild pitch this way, or when I go straight up, you're just going to jump up and catch a high ball. So I just want to see that you guys can move quickly from that position in all directions.
Stand right up.
Yeah, so just jump up like you're going to catch a ball. I'm not obviously going to throw it, but all right. So secondary receiving stance. Yep, good, fast as you can. Good, that was better. You ready? Throwing hand in the front, there you go. Yep, is your full foot on the ground? Feet a little bit wider apart? Yeah, now we're talking, go. Okay, good. What you can do, you guys could probably see from this, if you've got one person in a group like this who's maybe a little bit limited in their position, the group as a whole will all go in the one direction, and there might be one or two guys that are a bit slow to go in that direction, and that might draw attention to their stance and their setup, and then you'll be able to make some sort of adjustment to help them improve that position and their ability to move quickly. All right, so anytime you get a group to respond to your cue, then you can see it highlights basically when some individuals maybe have some limitations. All right, so that's just a simple, easy way to just sort of check to make sure that they can move. Now, if you want to, if they know how to block in that already, you can also do the same thing as these balls are set up to block balls in the dirt as well. Ball on the left, ball on your right, ball in the centre. You know, that sort of stuff. And you'll be able to see which guys can't move to their glove side, guys who can't move to the ball in the middle. All right. Any questions about the primary or the secondary receiving stances? All right, simple. All right, so once we've got a basic understanding of the actual setup.
Oh, sorry, I think you don't mind.
Yeah.
In regards to the, I'm not 100% sure you mentioned, but when you go from the primary to the secondary, I guess you still want to have that low target, right? So
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, your bum comes up. So really, your glove doesn't really move, or your head doesn't really come up either. It's just your bum that comes up. One of the common flaws too with kids in juniors when they get in that secondary position, yeah, they'll go nice big wide base. All of a sudden, they'll start bringing that target up with them while they come up.
Taylor.
Yeah, as opposed to just bringing their bum up, they want to bring the whole body up. Yeah, so just the glove and the head still stays.
Because if you're in a position to either block a ball in the dirt or potentially to throw a runner out, you know, if you've got 10 pitches with a runner on first base and they might maybe steal on one of those, you still need to be able to catch the strike zone, block balls in the dirt and all that, the other 9 pitches out of 10, don't you? So it's really important that, yeah, you can still catch the strike zone as effectively from both your primary receiving stance and your secondary receiving stance. Alright, so what we'll talk about now is just the process of receiving. So I might get our catching guinea pig to come right out here and we'll do it at home plate so you guys can come up and have a look. Can I get that bucket, Watto, just out there behind us? Yeah, leave those balls there for now, that's okay. Alright, so what I want you guys to think about is, I describe it, when the actual catching part, as receiving. Some people I know talk about framing. Does anyone know what framing is? Is that a yes? Yeah, what is it?
It's sort of slightly to the outside of the strike zone.
Yep.
You bring it in a little bit.
Yeah, you kind of drag it in to make the umpire think it was a strike. Yeah. So that's basically a pitch that comes in about here-ish. Right, so squat down for me, try and catch that ball. So you sort of catch it here and drag. Nice and easy, just underhand, but then slowly start to work your way around the strike zone. All right, so they want to be able to just catch it and stop it. And when you're doing stuff like this, you can start to identify potentially maybe some areas of around the strike zone, maybe where he struggles a bit. All right, now with his stance the way it is at the moment, where do you think might be an area that he might struggle catching the ball? Yeah, you just identified it, right? See how his elbow's inside his knee right there? So if he gets a fastball that comes down in here like this, he's going to have issues trying to get that elbow around his knee. So what he needs to do is find a way to sit in a position that gives him a bit more freedom with that. So what you can do in that situation is you could either potentially